Hi, I'm Jordan.
And I'm Kit.
Welcome to Starry Time.
Asterisms edition.
Where stars plus lines equal stories.
With an asterisk.
In these episodes, we'll explore ideas, concepts, or people that didn't make it into the main show, or that we just want to talk about a little bit more.
And this week we're headed into Creature Corner to talk all about giraffes.
Alright, Kit. So usually we start off Creature Corner. I just get a baseline. What do you know about this creature? So, Kit, what do you know about giraffes?
So I know giraffes are tall. They're very tall.
Mm-hmm.
And that a lot of that tall, I mean, they do have long legs, but their neck is very long. But there's fewer neck bones than you would expect. I don't know how many, but I know that they're big and there's less than you would think considering how tall the neck is. I know that they tend to be spotted and to be sort of like yellow and brown. They're found in parts of Africa.
Yes.
Their tongues are really long. They eat plants that are high. I think I've seen something about maybe their babies are born standing, so they can walk when they're born, babies. It's, I think, true, but I'm not sure about that. So that's what I know about giraffes. So I'm excited to learn more. I'm excited to find out if anything I know is untrue.
Kit, I think this is probably your most well-versed creature. A lot of
Wow,
the
okay.
facts, yes, a lot of the facts we're going to discuss today are just things that you've already brought up, but with a little bit more depth. But yes,
Great.
you're absolutely right. 5 for 5 on all of these facts that you've brought up.
They're some of my favorite animals to see in Animal Kingdom. So, yeah, you see a giraffe and you're like, that's cool.
So, the most important thing that I learned about giraffes is that they have changed since when you and I were growing up. Up
Hmm.
until the past decade or so,
Mm-hmm.
zoologists thought all giraffes were a single species, which of course was our Giraffa Camelopardalis of the
Mm.
constellation. And then of course there were different subspecies that had different patterns, as you noted. But
Mm-hmm.
within the past decade or so, they've done some genetic sequencing and they've realized there are actually four genetically distinct species of
Hmm.
giraffe: the northern, the Maasai, the reticulated, and the southern giraffe. And there are 8 recognized subspecies. And
Hmm.
their DNA differences are deep enough that these lineages may have diverged right around when humans started evolving, between zero point 0.4 and 2 million years ago. But it's as
Hmm.
big enough of a split as the one between polar bears and brown bears. So
Hmm.
in our life, we have gone from thinking that there were a bunch of different subspecies of one giraffe to now 4 species of giraffe with a couple subspecies each. Another cool fact about the giraffe is about their heart. Their heart
Mm-hmm.
weighs about 25 pounds, which
Woo.
is pretty big, but what makes it actually really cool is less so the size itself, but the extraordinary force that it's able to push throughout the body. I mean, of course, we got
Mm.
this long neck, but it generates double the blood pressure of a human heart. So
Hmm.
not only is it way bigger than our heart, it's also pumping way, 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 way harder. So it's bigger, stronger, harder. Um, and then it also has this whole other thing that the heart has, like a system of valved veins and like
Mm.
elastic walls, which create like this fine network of vessels at the base of the brain,
Hmm.
that buffer sudden pressure changes, which is called the rete mirabile.
Hmm.
And yeah, this network of fine blood vessels in their brain is the only thing that allows them to, bend over when lowering its head
All
without it
right.
being
Well,
able to
yeah.
faint. Yeah. So without
That
this,
does make sense.
yeah, without this wonderful, literally, yeah, miracle vessel, every time it tried to bend down and
Just
take
pass
a
out.
drink, it was gonna pass out. So yeah, it's got extraordinary force and then a very complex system of like valve veins and artery walls in order to make sure it doesn't pass out.
Well, it better be really careful that it's not targeted for the next, heart disease treatment. I hear if you just find a really big hearts, that's where that's where the answers lie.
So in the hit movie Jurassic World Rebirth, yes, our scientists are sent to Isla. Can you remember the name? Was it
No,
Is
Isla
no?
something, Isla Terror. It's something, like Isla
It was
nobody comes
something
here.
new.
Like,
It
yeah.
was something like French, I thought.
Mm.
As you said about the neck bones, it does have the same amount of bones in its neck as you and me. In fact,
Hmm.
there are 7 bones in the giraffe's neck.
7.
Just 7.
Wow. I knew there weren't a lot, but 7 that how, what? How? Why? They must be so big.
They are. So they're the same 7 that you and me have. In fact, they're just
Wow.
way, way bigger. And when we do see
Huh.
some of the creatures from Jurassic World, this is not the case. They, in fact, have a lot more neck bones.
Yeah, I have seen, skeletons of, Diplodocus and, Brachiosaurus, and I know they got a lot more bones in there.
Not our friends at giraffe. They have the
No.
same 7 cervical vertebrae. It's just that each one's like about 10 inches long, foot long. That's
Wow.
all.
Wow. That's wild.
It does the job.
Yep.
But they also use these necks not just, to reach acacia trees, and they also
Mhm.
use their necks as a form of mating battle ritual. There's a type of jousting that goes along called necking, in which
Oh.
they use both their necks and the little ossicones on the top of their heads to duel with each other. They, quote,
Oh.
swing their necks like pendulums, using their heavy skulls as hammers. These contests can last for hours
Oh.
and often end without injury, though occasional blows fracture ribs or
Oh.
vertebrae.
Oh, no.
So, this is from the Journal of Mammalogy in 2022. The victor earns mating rights, of course, and
Ugh.
occasionally, if you're like a real goat of necking, lifelong social rank.
Wow. Clout can last for a long time, I guess. Okay, wow. Huh. Do all giraffes have the little, like, horns or just males?
That is a great question. So their horns are actually kind of special. So
Hmm.
what the giraffe has is what's called an ossicone, which
Mm.
isn't a horn or an antler.
Hmm.
It's like a bony growth that's covered in skin and hair. And
Huh.
actually, both sexes do have them,
Hmm.
though males' ossicones grow thicker with
Mm.
age and, quote, may lose fur at the tips after years of sparring.
Mm. Wow.
So if you see a bald ossicone, you
It's a
have to
fighter.
imagine yeah, well, a lover and a fighter.
This is so wild. It's hard to imagine. I feel like every time I see images of giraffes, they're just like eating and like looking regal. It's hard to imagine them like engaging in, fighting sort of behavior. But and if I were to imagine it, I wouldn't imagine just like let's flop our necks at each other. But okay, I'm learning. I'm learning.
Next time we watch it like a prehistoric planet or one of these documentaries
Yeah.
where we see sauropods like neck attacking, we have to assume that it's being based upon some crazy
Yeah.
real world behavior. But anyways, speaking of which, the legs and the neck
Mhm.
of the giraffe
Yes.
evolved in tandem. So,
Mm.
it would have toppled the circulation system if just the legs had stayed really small and the neck had grown
Right.
big, or vice versa.
That makes sense.
So, yes. Another
Hmm.
cool adaptation that it has that goes back to its diet with these acacia leaves is, of course, that it has this giant tongue,
Yeah.
that's like 18, 20 inches long,
Wow.
and it's thick and it's like a dark black purplish color. It's prehensile, much like the elephant's trunk. It allows it, the giraffe has a lot of ability to manipulate it, and that is because its
Right.
favorite food, these acacia leaves, are surrounded by thorns, of course. So
Oh.
it loves a good thorny acacia leaf. So it's developed these super tongues in order to avoid the thorns and get to the good stuff.
Mhm.
And then it is this color, of course, to block it from sunlight. Yeah, this is a darkly pigmented protection from UV exposure. Because apparently their tongues are out most of the day.
They gotta eat a lot, I think, right? I mean, they're really
Yeah.
big. Gotta fuel that heart, and that's yeah, they have, like, sort of natural sunscreen on their tongue. Hmm.
And also, they also have like the spots are more
Mhm.
than just like decoration, of course, or camouflage. They also can regulate heat. So, like,
Oh.
each dark patch has like a network of sweat glands and blood vessels that are like little miniature radiators. So, they're like
Huh.
natural cooling zones as well. And all these
Mm.
patches and the complexity and shape of them are entirely different.
I'm looking at, pictures here. I guess I've only ever seen, like, maybe, like, the West African or Nubian giraffes, but some of these look kind of like fractals, like, they don't look these are cool. I don't think I've ever seen a giraffe with anything other than the sort of, like, more spot-like, patterns. Whoa, these are neat.
They're kind of like I hate to keep making dinosaur metaphors, but you came here for a reason. They're a lot like the sails or the plates of the stegosaurus, for sure.
Mhm. That's cool. Yeah, I did not know that.
So they have these long prehensile tongues. They have these thermoregulating spots. They have 7 cervical bones in their neck, just like you and me. They have a extraordinary force pushing heart. And two last things that they have that are super exciting. First, as you said, when they're born, they are born standing. And the
Hmm.
first event of their life is, that 6 foot drop to the ground that breaks the umbilical cord and
Oh my
stimulates
gosh.
breathing.
Wow. Well, I hadn't thought I mean, I knew that I thought that the giraffe baby could walk. Didn't think about how high up off the ground the giraffe giving birth would be. Wow. Okay. Well, just a like good luck.
Good luck. So within 1 hour, it can walk. Takes it
Okay.
about
Well,
5 hours to learn how to run. Great way to start life.
hit the ground running or walking then running.
Hit the ground hard.
Right.
That part we know for sure.
How many giraffes are usually born at once? Just one giraffe at a time? Is that how big the sort
Hmm.
of Okay, that makes sense.
And I can tell you about their gestation period if you'd like as well.
Sure.
Sure. Yes, generally only one
While we're
giraffe.
here.
Yeah, while we're here, generally yes, and their gestation period is like a year and a half, and
What?
yeah, takes a long
Wow.
time to bake a giraffe.
Yeah, well, I mean, they do have to survive a 6-foot fall, so I guess that they gotta be a little sturdy. Mm,
And once it is born, it has a very low upkeep
mm,
because giraffes actually sleep less than any other mammal.
hmm,
So they sleep for an average of 30 minutes a day,
hmm.
usually in like little bursts of like 3 to 5 minutes.
Wow, 30 minutes a day. Do they sl I'm like, do they sleep laying down, or they just kinda, like, close their eyes and then open them again? They're awake? Like
Yes, most of the time it
Wow,
occurs standing. Only in like
wow.
rare moments do they like fold their legs and curl their necks back to rest their
Mm,
heads, and sleep that way. And actually, I should probably say this. they're not ungainly. They're actually
Mm.
extremely fast.
Hmm.
Like, we think some giraffes might be able to run as fast as like 35 or 40
What?
miles an hour,
Wow.
for short bursts, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah. They're not doing a marathon, but they are fleeing the lion.
One last fact before I leave you here on Creature Corner. Despite its iconic status, Camelopardalis, our friend the giraffe, their population has fallen by over 30% in the past
Hmm.
30 years. So in some places it's gone down by over 90%, depending on the species or subspecies. So we had about 155,000 individuals in the 1980s and only about 100,000 today. They are critically endangered. We don't think of them like when we think of all the endangered creatures out there. But between its hydraulic heart and its fractal coat, it's got balance, it's got pressure, it's got grace.
Mm.
It's truly bioengineered to be one of one. So we love you, Camelopardalis, and we hope we can protect you.
Absolutely. I feel like I learned so much more about giraffes than I knew before. I feel like I had like a very surface level understanding, and the more that I learned, just the more amazing and remarkable these creatures are. So, yeah, let's do our best to protect them. I'll look into and post any information I can find about how folks could, contribute to that on our socials.
This has been Jordan.
And Kit, sisters who love stars and stories
And we'll see you next time.
on Story Time.